Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're going to have a little bit of a first impressions play with this flat lap. I've got myself here a little piece of lightning ridge shell. We can zoom right into it. You can see here I've got a fairly sandy one. If I were to carve this, I would be taking all of that back until we got rid of the sand. I'm hoping the flat lap will really speed it up. We've got a nice purple flash inside there, which I'm going to try to get out of this stone, but we've got a lot to remove, especially on that edge, which is why I think it's going to be perfect for the flat lap. So if we come back out, I don't have a hose at the moment to attach onto the outlet down on the bottom edge here, so instead what I'm doing is I'm just going to sit a bucket underneath it. I've got it on a slight angle just because I think it gives you a nice straight on shot of it from the camera. I personally would like to tilt it up a little bit more, and off camera I will, but for now we'll just leave it in this position. It'll be good enough to test it, and it's enough to give the outlet a little bit of a chance of draining everything quite well. Now I'm using a fairly tall coupling in the center, so we're going with this one here, one that fits my electroplated diamond disc that I use on my normal flat lap, and then I've just chucked that in. You can see, I mean, there's a little bit of a shadow cast, but it's only just under the top edge of all of this. So I just want to test this and see whether that is enough to be able to trap all the water. So far from my playing with this, the only things that I'm going to really change is just the center. The coupling from the motor through, I want to change so that this can be sunken further back down. And also I think it's where the 3D printing side of things struggles the most. I mean, the tolerances and everything could be tightened and made a little bit different, but I am going to change all of that and probably machine up a few metal parts just to make it more consistent. As you'll see, there's a little bit of wobble involved once I've got the electroplated laps on because they're a little bit heavier. In fact, I can probably show you that right now. If I just turn it on to the slower setting, it doesn't come up on camera that well, but in person, I wonder if there's a way I can emphasize it. It does have a little bit of side to side wobble, fairly slight. You can see it a little bit in the sticker. Yeah, you can't see it all that well, but it is definitely shaking side to side a little bit. It's mostly to do with the balance of the disc in the center. And speaking of the speed, I reckon even at the slowest, so this is currently on 4 volts, I think that is already a good enough speed. If I turn it up a little bit, you might be able to see, actually the wobble disappears a little bit visually, but you can hear it a bit more now. Hopefully the microphone picks that up. Either way, I'm going to drop it right back, turn it off for now, and the water I'll get in place. Currently I've just got it stored upside down, it just sits on top of the bottle. If I flip that up the right way, so about here, it doesn't look quite right on camera, but essentially it's aiming to drop just above the centerpiece just here. And it might look a little bit like a ball valve kind of setup, but it's more of a screw. It's hard to 3D print a ball valve, so it's just a screw and we can just click it open like this. Maybe take it down another notch. Just a nice gentle drip like this. You can see it's dribbling down here and it's coming straight out the bottom edge. If I tilt the camera down a little bit more, straight out here into the bucket. Working perfectly fine. So now if I click it on, have it dripping away. We got nothing splashing out the sides, which is pretty ideal. I might even just move the water up a little bit over here. And then if I turn it off again, I can feel that the surface does have water all over it. So working perfectly fine. Only other thing to do now is to get carving. So let's give it a crack. Okay, flash forward a little bit because you can't really see behind my hand what I'm doing anyway. So we've just done the rough outline for the stone. Unfortunately, it is a little bit crackly in there, a little bit cloudy. It's not as clean a crystal and that flash isn't hitting us quite as bright as I would have liked with a little bit of potch on the back. But there are a few things I can point out now, especially if I get this dry. You'll see that it is much more prone to faceting. So the hard wheels, you're not going to get a real even smooth finish. And this is a 240 or a 220 grit, and you can see the scratches are pretty deep anyway, so you're not aiming for that at this stage. You're just trying to do the rough removal, but it is a pretty serviceable machine. It's going pretty well. It goes through pretty quickly. It's not overly wobbly, so it's not causing me any problems holding the stone up to the surface. It's working pretty well as designed. One thing I will point out is I've got the water dripping slightly high at the moment, so you can see there's this little ring. You can tell where the water isn't quite wetting the surface. So if I bring this down a little bit, boom. Now you know your whole wheel's covered in water. If you ever see any kind of dry patches forming anywhere, you just want to make sure you hit those with water. As you can see, I've moved it back up and that dry patch is returning. So you certainly do need the water to be dripping basically on the innermost section you really want. So if you want the whole wheel wet, you've got to drip right above that sticker line. As soon as you go away from that, the water is not going to gravity feed down to there. But yeah, unfortunately this stone isn't going too well, but there are a few things I want to discuss about this flat lap. So let's just put this down and have a look. So I am moderately impressed with this machine, mostly because at this price point it's doing a really good job at being a flat lap. And if I take this off, you'll see that all of the water, there's a couple droplets over here as you can see, but that's just from my hands mostly. Nothing has escaped outside of the confines of this flat lap, and it's all gone to waste pretty well. And you can see I'm trying to get this disc off, and it's actually quite a snug fit. Everything fits pretty well, which is good because it's helpful when maintaining all the balance and everything. So you can see there's the disc coming off, and you can see how all the water is still well and truly collected. I didn't get anything coming out the sides here or out the upper rim. It hasn't collected any real dirt or muck. I mean, we didn't grind it too much off, but as you can see, if I bring this out of the way and show you the water tank, we have definitely ground some opal and it has come out the waste. This is actually incredibly good because you don't want too much powder collecting inside here because eventually you're going to have to wipe that. And at work, there's a huge crunch on a bunch of silicosis stuff. So any work that we do with stones and grinding anything up, if it does leave a powder behind, that's a huge risk factor. You can see not a lot of water got in here, if any. So we're going to keep it all out of the motor housing. I don't have any dust that's going to form inside here if I just let it dry. I can give it a quick wipe out just in case. The texture of the 3D print does make it a little bit ridged, so I wouldn't be surprised if some opal dust gets collected in there. I think the true test will be if I smash some boulder up against it. I didn't want to make it super dirty for you guys in the first video though. I'll be sure to hit this with a bit of boulder opal and see what happens, as well as a bunch of other things. I want to chuck some pretty hard mintaby at it. I'll also chuck some fire agate, which is another level up. But of course, one of the drawbacks is that this will only be a flat lap. It's never going to replace a carving machine. So with the fire agate, all I can do is shape an outline and then I'll have to get the burrs out and start working on the face, because I don't like those to be cabbed. I'd prefer the face to be carved and you follow those bubbles and try to get as much color as you can out of it. And that goes for any stone that I work. So even this one here, even though it's a bit of a dud, if we zoom in, if for any reason you're going through a stone, you clear it all up and then there's a deep sand pocket or something and you can see that it's going to peter out, the flat lap, you're going to have to ditch the flat lap, go back to the carving and carve away. There's no harm in flat lapping first. I do it with a lot of really coarse rough material, especially boulder opal when there's a lot to get rid of. I just punch through a lot of that ironstone and get to not even this far. A lot of the times I'll pull back further, but I just want to give this one a bit of a test and see how easy it is to shape. All in all, it's a huge adjustment from carving. As I was showing in my footage, when I'm grinding it up, I'm always doing this kind of rolling sweeping motion. So I'm essentially going like this up against the plate. And that is just to reduce the facets. While this stone dries off a little bit, if I can hit it like this, you'll see, I mean, I've done a pretty good job at keeping it fairly rounded, but you'll still see there's a couple areas that are definitely on the facety side. Now, you can completely avoid that when you use the softer pads, but with the hard diamond flat laps, it's almost impossible. Though if you do a good job like I have here, you can see that most of that faceting is removed and you're just going to get some nice rounded areas. But of course, when you're doing it, you're starting in one spot, you're gliding across and then you're stopping in another, so that start and stop position will most likely be seen. Anyway, even if I'm not going to show you the polishing, I just want to show you a couple things with this machine that you need to keep an eye out for, especially with the polishing pad. Now, I just want to show off the biggest drawback of this system, and as you'd expect, the 3D printed system is super lightweight. Super lightweight. It weighs very little, basically it's the weight of the motor only. When it comes to heavier pads, take for example this felt polishing pad. Now, while it's dry, it's actually fairly light. When it gets wet, it's going to be even heavier. So if you have a look just here where my finger is, notice how I've got it set so that it's a little bit off center. Not hugely off center, but a little bit off center. I've had it a little bit off center to just emphasize this point because it's such a lightweight tool. When I turn this on, at first I'm going to hold down the machine onto the bench. You can see there. Now if I let go, check that out. it will dance and wobble absolutely everywhere. If I just have it here and turn it on while it's not being held down, away it goes. Now that is even worse if it's wet and heavier. So when you're doing the polishing side of things, you have to make sure that this center is dead set in the middle. If you need to, just hold your finger in a spot and just run it around, and if you can feel it push your finger out of the way like it did for me just there, or if you see it move away from your finger like that and then come back, you know it's not in the center. You need to get this very well centered. Also, I wouldn't go ahead and pre-soak the felt or anything. Just use a spray bottle. You can mix up a cerium oxide solution in water in a spray bottle and it won't really clog the nozzle because the cerium's so fine, and just spray it onto the surface, or get a paintbrush, and if you're like me and you've got a tub of it just kind of prepared on the bench, just dip your paintbrush in it and brush it up against here. You just want to keep it moist. You could even have the dripper go onto it. It'll just drip it and keep everything nice and moist, but just try not to wash all the cerium off so don't flow too quickly. Apart from that, this system is actually pretty good. Like I said, the only things that I'm going to be changing up is things like this centerpiece here. So the coupling that comes through from the motor is actually just this entire screw piece here. If I bring it up to the camera, this has got a little bit of a shroud and you can see there's a little nut and screw that goes through. I've already tried removing that, and then this is the direct shaft out of the motor. Whereas at first I thought this whole thing was, and it was just going straight onto the end of the motor, but no, this is the end of the motor here. So it's threaded. I'm probably going to change that up, at least this coupling, because just having this hexagon shape is really good for the bits that is given me, but it's kind of hard for me to machine. 3D printing, it's quite easy. But for me, I'm going to go more circular and make it all out of something like steel. And then I should be able to get everything a little finer tuned in terms of balance. Where the 3D print really shines is all of this outer shroud and everything. It's super lightweight, which is good and bad because you will get that wobble if you get anything off center. Of course, you can always just use the other holes here and just screw it down onto a heavier board or something. That would also mitigate that a fair bit. So all in all, it is an incredibly good machine. You've just got to really get used to it. There's a lot of little quirks about it that you won't see with other bigger, heavier standard flat laps. And of course, if you're adjusting from carving, it's a huge adjustment. Also, I should just mention that the water fountain, which I've got upside down at the moment, is pretty good. This does not completely stop the water from coming out, so it will slow drip even though that it's fully closed, and that's just once everything's wet. The water will always just find a way. If there's any slight seal breakage, and being PLA on PLA, it's not going to be an airtight, watertight seal. You are going to get a slow drip, which is why I hold this upside down. Also, I have had to thread tape the bottle into the stand, otherwise it will leak a little bit more than I would like. I was worried about this little fountain here. So when you put your bottle in, if it's too full and you squeeze it at all, this little air relief here that allows the water to flow down the spout, you will end up squirting water out here. So just be careful with that. Apart from that, the stand does exactly what it needs to. This provides enough air for you to get a pretty high flow through this tap if you really wanted. Though you'll never need to click it more than 2 or 3 times just to get a nice steady drip. Pretty good. I think just the thread could be improved, but that's with all 3D printing, threads are always a thing. Even for some of these other parts, like this, the other thing I want to do is change these up. If I can change them all metal, I think it'll be a little bit better. Getting nuts and stuff in these small sections is pretty tough. At the moment, I've actually got this one, if I can undo it, threaded straight into the print, but even that could be improved. It's just that it was hard to get a nut in there, so I didn't bother, especially the lock nuts, because you need to get a grip on both sides of it. Instead of having this thing here, I would probably actually insert my own thread into the 3D print. There's a lot of different ways you can do it with 3D prints, but I would probably install my own thread, metal thread, into that, so I could just screw directly on it. Just have a washer on top and yeah, that would seal it pretty well. But in terms of 3D printing, it's been done as well as you can. And like I said, Vince will certainly always be working on this, and he'll be working on a few other machines that I know he's already got in production. So Wollemi Machines, Wollemi Opal is definitely one to keep an eye out on. I know for sure that I will be. And in fact, I'll probably be doing a few of my own little improvements on this. And if I come up with anything good, I would be more than happy to share it both with him and with anyone that buys a machine. Even if I make like an upgraded inner section all metal and make it like a convertible kit, I'd be happy to put that out there and people can either make their own, or maybe I can just make a couple and send them out. Who knows what the future holds? All I know is that I've got to set this up again and maybe chew some boulder opal through it and some fire agate to really push it to its limits. Because right now it's not struggling too much at the slowest speed. You might have noticed in the footage that the motor did slow down a little bit. If you just bump that up a notch or two more to 5-6 volts, it'll be spinning pretty quickly, but once you start grinding, it'll just kind of hold and maintain a pretty good speed. So not the highest torque in the world, but if you have a look at the size of this motor compared to one that might be on your quarter horsepower flat lap, it's a very small DC motor. You got to give it a little bit of a break. You're always going to expect those kind of drawbacks on a smaller, weaker and lighter machine. Certainly not heavy duty, but does get the job done for the odd stone you want to do. For the hobbyist, it does probably meet a good mark of trying out flat lapping to see if you like it or not without committing thousands of dollars to it. So it really it meets up to its expectations. I'm quite happy with it. I for one will be using it quite a bit, and you'll probably see it both on the channel and you'll notice when stones have been pre-ground back off the channel. Alright, feel free to check it out. I know he's been releasing some sales every now and then, but he can't meet everyone's demand at the moment, so give him a little bit of a break, and over the next couple of months I'm sure he'll be pumping out dozens of them. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video where I'll be carving something up.